the hunter has become the hunter-ed. In this episode of Hunters in Prime, I'm Wyatt, and who is here with me today as always?
Yeah, it's Isaac, the feeble.
Yeah. Okay.
Damn it.
We're here to talk about the maybe not the black sheep of the Prime series, because that probably goes to Federation Force, honestly. But definitely a weird game in the Prime series, and that's Metroid Prime Hunters. Isaac, before we give our first thoughts on the game, did you have any history with this? Was this your first time playing through it? Did you play the DS demo, perhaps the first Hunt demo?
No.
Okay.
So my history of this game is weird in that the way I got my copy, I have a copy. I had a friend who tried to get into Metroid. He bought the Prime trilogy on Wii and he bought Hunters on DS at a game store, and
Sure.
he didn't like Metroid, so he gave both of them to me for free. Yeah, I know. But he was like, "Here you go, man. You can just have these." I went, "Hell yeah!" And I played Hunters for a little bit back then. I thought this game's really cool, but I'll put it away later. I have very little experience with Hunters, but I have a lot of experience with the developer, which is not Retro Studios.
Yeah, this is the first one not developed by Retro Studios. Or maybe second. I don't know if you want to count, because it started development and we got this game, a demo for it, before we got the Prime Pinball, which we are not going to do a whole separate podcast about.
Yeah.
Even this is going to be pushing credulity. You'll see in a second here. As far as our Prime 2 one was like 2 hours, and this is, I'll be shocked if it's like 40 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
But for me, I'm a huge Metroid fan my whole life. Talked about it probably in the previous episodes, but there's that gap between Prime 2 and 3. So for me, the gap between 1 and 2 wasn't very huge, because I got the GameCube in 2003, along with Prime and like a few other games. So it was only a year between 1 and 2 for me. Like, I had played 1, and then by the time that I was done playing it, basically, because kids take way too long to play even very basic games, Prime 2 was rolling around. And so in kid time, 2004 to 2007 is like longer than... It's like the fucking entire universe, basically, is collapsed into that one instance of like 3 years.
That's like 12 World Series baseball games.
Yeah. So the fact that we got Prime Pinball, and it's like, okay, that's fine. I didn't have a DS at that point, in 2005. So, that kind of just passed me by. My experience with the DS at that point was just playing the Prime Hunters demo on my cousin's DS, and as well as playing Meteos and Yoshi Touch and Go and things like that. It wasn't until 2006 with the DS Lite that I was able to get it, and thankfully it came out around the same time as Prime Hunters, and I was very much excited for this, because at this point I think we'd only seen one trailer for Prime 3 at E3, and it was going to be a launch game for the Wii, but they sort of backpedaled on that and then pushed it to later that year. Maybe something is similar happening to Metroid Prime 4. I don't know, but we'll see. At this point, at the time of us recording this, the second trailer of Prime 4 has been shown, but we don't have a release date for it yet. And we're recording this on the day of the Switch 2 Direct. So we've seen that they have all the schmoozing up it, which is, great. Obviously, I would love to play Prime 4 as beautiful as possible. If I can only play on the Switch 1, no problem. It already looks great. But beginning to play it to 120 FPS on handheld mode and whatever, I don't have a 120 hertz TV or anything, so it would have to only be in handheld mode.
Yeah.
I'm playing that. But yeah, be good times. Anyway, Prime Hunters I did obsess with over that summer. But unlike some other Metroid games like Fusion, like Zero Mission, like Prime 1 and 2, I kind of was after a few playthroughs, I was pretty much done with it and never really felt the need to return to it. It just like I feel like I totally got my fill of it at that time. And that was kind of a foreboding omen of where this episode was going to go, because when I got the game again and I was like, all right, let me play this shit. Uh I slowly started to realize that my goat may in fact be washed just a little bit, because I'm a big proponent of how great Metroid is, and I love all these Metroid games, and Metroid Prime especially. This game kind of fucking sucks. So,
Ooh, oh,
uh,
yeah.
in my opinion, Isaac, how do you feel?
Okay, so I'm definitely felt a little bit of my goat's been washed because this game was developed by Nintendo Software Technology Corporation, which is in Washington.
Yes.
They're American, just like Retro. But these guys are the same guys that made Ridge Racer 64. They make the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games. They made Wave Race Blue Storm. But the most important game is one of my favorite games of my like teenage years. In my top 5 for the fucking console, they also made 1080 Avalanche. I'm serious.
Oh,
I
wow.
fucking love a 1080 Avalanche. Seriously, holy shit, I could do a whole podcast about that game.
Yeah.
So whenever I... Oh,
Whoa. Uh-oh.
what happened?
Something fucked up. I have no idea what just happened. But
Are you still recording?
yes, I'm still recording.
Okay,
So we can
awesome.
We can either ignore this when I'm editing it, or I'll cut it out if I remember
Right,
to.
all right,
But
awesome. Anyway, I could do a whole podcast in that game. But, so when I found out that they made a Metroid Prime game on DS, I was like, holy shit, I gotta try this out. And especially when I heard about all the multiplayer stuff, which we'll get to, I was pretty stoked to play it after we did Prime 2. Prime 1, 10 out of 10 game. Prime 2,
Yeah.
fucking close to 11 out of 10 game for me. I don't like Prime Hunters. I don't
Yeah.
fucking like it. There's like, and it's like war. It's like, it's death of. There's little things that are really cool about it, but there are a few things that just fucking tear this game apart for me. And we'll
Yeah.
get to that, I'm sure. But yes, I do not like this game either.
yes.
Right.
So it was like interesting to play it because from a Metroid fan perspective, it felt like it was a really cool addition to the world to be like, oh, what are some other hunters? And all the characters, I mean, I was 11 when this game came out, so they are such 11-year-old boy core characters. Like, you got the rock guy with the crystals coming out of him. You got you got Sylux, who of course is coming back in Metroid Prime 4.
Cool green
like,
guy.
Yeah, Trace, like I remember their names. I'm just like explaining them. But like all these characters, they feel like they would be in like a CGI Beast Wars type show, you know? And I fucking love Beast Wars. It's one of my favorite TV shows ever.
Great show.
And it just gave me that vibe as a kid, so I was like really into it, and I wanted to know more about these hunters. And like Sylux was really mysterious. Oh, and then next year when he appeared in the secret ending of Prime 3, I was like, oh my god, when are we gonna learn about him? Cut to 2 Obama administrations, 1 Trump administration, 1 Biden administration, and a second Trump administration, and here we are finally learning about what Sylux's deal is. Fucking I'm older. I'm almost 30 now, and we're now learning about Sylux. We'll see if Prime 4 comes out before or after I turn 30. It just depends on if it's in a launch window game, like if it's in June, or if they're gonna like put it off until August or September, which is usually when they release Metroid games. Like I know Prime 3 and Other M came out in August,
Then
like right
October.
before the school year. Yeah, but Hunters. I think there's a lot going for it, and I won't say anything about the multiplayer because I played a good amount of it as a kid, but as an adult, obviously could not do it. I'm a single guy living alone in an apartment. Didn't get to play a lot of the multiplayer. I did look up a lot of like the modern multiplayer stuff on like Melon. People like cooked the fuck out of this game and like turned it into like Quake basically.
Right.
uh, with like mouse controls and like high res, low poly stuff. So that's great. I'm glad that it has like a burgeoning community, modders and things like that. So that I think that's totally good. I think like the character designs are fun. I think in general the game looks pretty good for a DS game,
Oh yeah, it looks great.
and especially like a pretty early one, like when you play like the demo of it, which is again like that's my first exposure to it was with that demo. The problems immediately come in the actual act of playing the game. Unfortunately, I think the controls are really bad.
Oh my
How do you
god.
feel?
Okay, all right. Yeah, this is where I knew I was going to talk about it a lot. So, with Prime 1 and 2, I played them on GameCube, of course, but I played through the games for this podcast on Wii. For Prime Hunters, I decided I'm going to play on original hardware. Fuck the 3DS with its cheating little, circle pad. I have
Sure,
an
yeah.
original DS and a DS Lite. I played the game kind of offhand, like kind of back and forth all the time. And the reason why we took so fucking long to record this podcast is because of me. Because I would consistently get fucking hand cramps playing this game. I don't know what it is, because I used to play Kid Icarus all the time with the same control scheme and be fine. But I think it's because this is the first, and as far as I know, the only Metroid Prime game with no lock-on. And yet, you have enemies that are fast as fuck, even more agile
Yeah.
than, the other Prime games. So you
Yeah.
constantly have to aim around with the stylus, because you aim with the stylus. If you try aiming with A, B, X, and Y, you're not going to catch up with the enemies. So you got to aim with the stylus, while also strafing and moving everywhere with the fucking D-pad, while also tapping L. Anytime I played this game on a DS Lite, I wanted to make the cartridge bleed. I
Yeah.
was so over it. And on original DS, it's fine, but it still doesn't feel very good because the stylus on there is the size of a fucking
Yeah,
wiener.
that was my big problem
Like-
because I have original DS, so I was like, oh, cool, I get to play it with that, and like the big chunky buttons were fine, but then the little tiny little stylus just sucked so bad, and I tried. While high did I try to play it with the controls, the like digital analog, whatever like controls where it's like, oh, the four buttons on this side and then this side, are the different sticks basically. Terrible. Does
Awful.
not work. It just is like it's just bad all around as far as that goes. And like I can only hope that when we get DS games on Switch 2 that it controls better because of the mouse, but like fuck me, man.
Fuck.
The controls, like, yeah, that's the problem. You're right. The no lock on thing completely destroys the game because even Prime 3 had a lock on, and yeah, you still had to aim with the pointer controls, but it would focus your aim at an enemy as it moved. Like your aim would be completely focused on it, or your field of vision would be focused on it while you're locked on. You would just have to move the cursor to shoot at it, which is like, I actually really prefer that, and I know that the Pikmin games do that as well.
It's really fun.
Where Pikmin, they're like, oh, you can lock onto the enemy, but then you can adjust with the gyro aim so that you can like hit a specific part of, like, oh, you can throw the Pikmin into the Bulborb's eyes and they can attack him. To me, like, that's sort of the perfect use of a game where it's like, oh, precision isn't 100% necessary to hit the target. It's just necessary to do certain amounts of damage or exploit certain weaknesses, and like that's the challenge. None of that shit is here. Combat in general is whack as fuck in this game, despite the fact that it's supposed to be the most FPS of all the Prime games.
Yeah,
Like it has. Yeah, how do you feel about that?
it feels like the game is constantly in double speed. Everyone moves so goddamn fucking quick, like it's
yeah.
Quake.
Oh yeah.
But
like the death matches against like the random guy, like when you're going about and like, oh, this dude Noxus just shows up and you gotta fight him, and it's just
my God.
it's like you're fighting a bot in
Yeah.
like Unreal Tournament or something. It's not.
like you have I had a sequence where it was like where I would go, because they can randomly show up in any like major room that isn't like your safe zone or boss room. I had
Mm-hmm.
on the fire planet, Alinos,
Mm-hmm.
4 fucking consecutive rooms. Just some random fucker show up. He just comes in. Either it's a kind of cool hunter that will go in morph ball mode and completely get on top of your balls and completely demolish you.
Yeah.
Or it's guardian battles, which guardians are fucking infuriating because they run around like little fucking mice,
Yeah.
going fucking everywhere. It's infuriating trying to fight these fast ass enemies with this control scheme that doesn't fucking work. No, I would love to see those cracked ass competitive players play on a DS because I
Yeah.
genuinely think their fingers would break like SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck happened?
I don't know. It's just like I think they got so concerned with if they could, they didn't think should we.
Yeah.
Like the Jurassic Park thing, because it's just like, yeah, you put an FPS, this kind of like boomer shooter style game onto a DS, and it works, but it's also not very comfortable. It's not ergonomic, and the game design is not very accommodating to it. And like, okay, here's the thing: Metroid Prime is not about combat. So on one hand, fine, whatever. Who cares if the combat isn't great? Because exploring the world and the interconnected nature of all the levels and the finding upgrades, well, all that shit is gone too. So who cares? These are all the planets are basically like kind of big Quake maps. I'm gonna keep comparing it to Quake, but that's really the best thing that I compare it to.
You
Um,
literally go through each level collecting pretty much key cards to
yeah,
get an item which unlocks the boss for you.
yeah, and
They laid the game out like Doom, right?
yeah,
And when
and then they also are like, we'll talk about the bosses in a second here, but
oh
like they try to make it Metroid by being like, well, you got to revisit certain planets, and now that you have this weapon, you can get this thing. And like, yeah, I guess it kind of reminds. What's that one like Power Slave? It kind of reminds me of that, where it's like sort of a proto
yeah.
version of a Metroid Prime game, where there is like going between levels and redoing levels and doing things like that. But it's not quite the same as like Prime, where it's just oh, you find an elevator that leads you from Chozo Ruins to Fentrana Drifts or whatever. Uh, so like these natural connections between the world that is like an interwoven planet like doesn't really exist.
Yeah,
The
no,
if you're like if you want to learn about this like star system, the Limbic cluster, and you want to learn about the alien life forms that lived there, and you want to learn about all the different hunters, you're fucking shit out of luck, dude, because
yeah.
the lore is so sparse. And if you do find a lore scan, it's like one sentence.
Oh my god.
So
Dude, yeah, no, you could not dare me to tell you the fucking story in this game. Especially when, I don't know why, but like halfway through the game, they're like, okay, if you want to get more lore, you have to scan these ghost lore sequences. Where are they? Fuck if I know. You have to go into scan mode and just look around for them.
yeah,
And they'll just be floating around. It's like, who the fuck? Who
yeah,
designed this? Fucking Ant-Man?
yeah. It just
you
reminds me of like in Prime 2, they are like, all right, they at the end of the game, you got to collect the Sky Temple keys, and the locations of the keys correspond to where there's a dead Luminoth body in the light world. So you like if you're able to understand that and you're able to find them, use the dark visor and everything. Like there's many gameplay clues that lead you to find these hidden objects in like a natural way. Whereas this, you just have to be super fucking bored to just go around and be like, all right, I guess I'm going to look for this shit. Like I found a couple of them. I don't know. I have no idea what the deal with these aliens are. The only thing that I kind of know is that like the distress signal or whatever, like the ultimate weapon thing was like a ruse to get all of the hunters to show up to this place and then either defeat or be eaten by the big final boss fucking thing. Oh, by the way, did you do there's like a weird shit there's a weird thing you have to do to get like the true final boss. Did you do that, or
So
did you just
okay, I
beat the final
did
boss normally?
because
Okay.
I'll tell you, I had a guide. Unlike Prime 1 and 2, where I very sparingly use a guide if I really got stuck,
Mm-hmm.
I used a guide almost the entire fucking time I played this game.
Yeah.
And I was reading through. I was like, okay, I'm on the final boss, and then the game was like, and then the guy was like, oh, by the way, do this or else you get a bad ending. And I'm like,
Yeah.
huh? What? Yes. If you don't do this, if you don't read a certain fucking thing and then hit these random fucking things on the wall in a specific order during the final boss, you get a bad ending and you don't get the final boss. It's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah, and that just pisses me off because, again, it's just like a communication thing. The stuff like the Chozo artifacts at the end of Prime and the Sky Temple keys that I already talked about, like when you get to the areas where you're supposed to place them, you see it's like, oh, there's 12 of these pillars that I need to find, and you scan them and they tell you like in a riddle format where to go and find them. With this, it's just like, why are these here? Why am I shooting them? Why does all the weapons correlate to all the hunters that just showed up? There's just like a lot of things about it where it really feels like they came up with the idea of like they were just told what Metroid Prime was, and then they like worked backwards from that, where they were like, oh, it's a sci-fi first-person game. You shoot enemies, and they're like, okay, yeah, I got it. And then they tried to make that kind of game, but they ended up, it's just like surface level resembles Metroid Prime, but it doesn't actually feel anything like it, and it's lacking so much of the elegance in the design and the like visual storytelling that Metroid Prime has, especially in the first two like the first game, and then the second game I think really amps it up, like the storytelling. So it's like a huge downgrade after going from Prime 2 to this.
It really you know what, this game, you bring up a good point with the whole like atmospheric storytelling, because this game really comes off to me as it's the kind of game that people think Metroid Prime is if they've never played Metroid Prime. That think, oh,
Yeah.
they just turn into a shooting stuff. Like, to be contemporary, when the second trailer came out for Prime 4 with all like where it showed off the world and all that stuff, I saw a few people actually upset about the trailer, going like, compared to the first trailer where it was all actiony and stuff like that, this one really was kind of a letdown and boring stuff. It's like, but you haven't played Prime, motherfucker. Like, the first trailer for me was awesome.
This is Prime.
The second trailer was when I really got blown away with the game, because it showed the powers, it showed how the world, like how you're exploring stuff, it showed the enemy types. That second trailer was really exciting for me, because to me, that's Prime. And Prime 2, I think, really nails that, because it is more of story focused than Prime 1. But it still gives a lot of the story kind of like breathing room to really kind of almost express its own, like, kind of express yourself within that story while you play the game, taking your own pace and stuff like that, and really letting the world show you what's up. Like, man, like, that's what makes 1 and 2 such perfect fucking games to me. And Hunters feels like they were making this really impressive first-person engine, and then someone went up to Software Technology Corporation, go like, "We need a Metroid game." And they're like, "Huh? Metroid? Who?" It's like, man.
Oh, yeah, we should mention that, like, I think part of the reason why I'm still such a lifelong Metroid fan is this era. It was just like the golden age of Metroid, where like Prime and Fusion came out in the same day, which is fucking nuts to
That's
even
nuts.
think about like nowadays. And then we got Zero Mission, then Prime 2, then this, and then Prime 3, like all in like rapid succession. And not to mention like, oh, the eShop gave us Metroid and Super Metroid, right before Prime 3 came out. And I'll talk about that a little bit in that episode, but like, yeah, it was just they like really cared about Metroid being successful. And like, that's what, by the way, this is what annoys me about Nintendo fans, because they are so worked up about like sales and whatever, and like like the optics of certain game series being better or more important than others. And I'm under no illusions that Prime Like, I don't think Prime is on the same level as a Zelda or Mario, but I also think that Nintendo respects Metroid just like they respect Star Fox. I know it's been a long time since a Star Fox game, but they treated that last bad Star Fox game like a premium game. Like,
Yeah.
they went all out with the marketing and everything, even though it was like a 2016 Wii U game.
Yeah,
Like
they
the
really
most like
tried.
who gives a shit this kind of game.
Right.
And
Ugh.
Again, that game has its problems, but they actually went out of their way to try to focus on it. Stuff like F-Zero. I'm convinced that the reason that they're not doing more F-Zero games has nothing to do with the fact that the game series doesn't sell well. Like, I don't think they really care that much about sales, because why the fuck would they give us so many goddamn Metroid games in a row if, like, 2.7 million or whatever is what Prime 1 sold, which is a really good amount. So
For GameCube, that's really good.
Yeah.
Like,
and then the other one sold like closer to 1 million, and like maybe a little bit over that, which is still pretty goddamn good. But like again, like, I think that people kind of look at them and see like, oh, if it's not selling 10 million copies, then it's not even worth our time. Especially like since Breath of the Wild was such a huge thing. They have like this inflated version of how games should be and should sell and whatever, and it's just like, or if like there's nothing Nintendo fans love to do more. I'm sorry for trauma dumping about Metroid, I guess.
You're
But
good.
there's nothing they fucking love to do more than tell Metroid fans that their series is niche. And it's just like, guys, I really do not care if the series is niche. It is superior to Mario and Zelda, to me, personally.
right.
I don't care if it's like, those are great games, and I love those series, but like, for me, this is, the stuff that I want to see. And yeah, I don't know. I just want to talk about that a little bit, that there was that area where it was like very clear that Nintendo was trying very hard to like go all in on Metroid, and I don't think that it had anything to do with like sales really as to why they stopped. I think
Right.
it was simply like the stars getting like things just getting out of whack, and Other M was a huge factor in it. Like that was like not even necessarily because it was a financial failure, but it was just like a big critical bad spot.
Right,
That
yeah,
sort of like they needed to take a step back and like focus on how to recenter the series, and it took a while for them to get there. It took them 7 years to get us to Samus Returns, but we got there, and we're here, hopefully in another like soft renaissance era for Metroid. But yeah, I just wanted to bring
Right.
that up because Prime Hunters is sort of, to me, it's emblematic of that, because it only exists because they had so much confidence in Metroid. Otherwise, like, that's its only merit as a game, I think. Besides the multiplayer, like, the only merit of the game is the fact that, like, it's a Metroid game that they made during this period, and they're like, people, and everybody will just eat this up because we slapped Metroid on it. So
No, I think Metroid was, especially at that point, was kind of an interesting, kind of finishing up a little bit right there with that, is that Metroid,
yeah.
I think, is very interesting for me in terms of this era of Nintendo, because it was definitely like I feel like Metroid, at least to me, was kind of their series to push for the hardcore market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Prime Hunters coming out in 06 came out around the same time as the whole touch generation shit happened. You were getting like games like the DS was selling millions with games like Cooking Mama and Brain Age, Rhythm Heaven, and Nintendogs. And Prime Hunters, I think, was like, if they're going, no, we still got cool stuff for you. And for like Prime 1, 2, and 3 and stuff, those were like fucking awesome. So Hunters, it was like, all right, awesome. Now the DS can have its own, their flavor first-person shooter. And that's why it just struggles me. This game just doesn't work for me, man. And I think, kind of going to a different topic, I think the part that really irked me the most with this game, in a lot of ways, aside from controls, man, what the fuck did they do to the goddamn bosses? Holy shit! They're
again,
awful.
after I feel like Prime 1 had really good bosses. Prime 2, like, especially, look, I love Super Metroid. Bad bosses in Super Metroid. Besides Ridley, all of them are, like, so ridiculously easy that it's, like, not even worth spending your time fighting them. But, Prime really elevated them, and then Prime 2, like, there's so many goddamn bosses in Prime 2. And, like, almost all of them are, like, really good. There's some that are kind of bullshit, but, whatever. I like the bullshit ones, like the Spider Guardian and the Boost Ball Guardian. But then this, it's like, I remember, because to me, one of my favorite parts of any video game is encountering a new boss and being like, oh man, this huge iconic enemy. I'm so excited to see what's going on. I can't wait to fight this boss and, like, get familiar with it. And then it's like, oh yeah, the slinch, cool, whatever. Ugh. Like and then the big tower thing, yeah. Oh, I'm fighting this guy again, and then you had to fight the same guy, like 2 different guys 4 fucking times.
4 times. Oh my god. So yeah, no. When I remember when I first played the game, I saw the big fucking tower with the eyes and everything. I forgot what it's called. And I was like, this boss isn't great, but whatever. We'll get to the next boss because awesome. And then the next boss is that boss again. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then later on, they're like, okay, next one I believe is like, oh, here's Slench. It's a nasty name, but it's like cool. Mm-hmm. And it's like this weird eyeball guy. Slench might be the worst boss I've ever fought in a fucking video game. It's like, because you have to strafe around it. It's got this fucking big eye that flies everywhere. It's fucking it's shooting shit. It rams you, and it's really hard to fucking avoid. And then they're like, all right, cool. You didn't like Slunch anymore. Let's go for a different boss. And it's a fucking tower again. And the final one, they're like, oh, cool. Let's do a final fucking tower boss. And it starts moving. When it started moving on, like, the final boss, I went, oh, god damn it. It was like a goddamn trick out of Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Like, God. Like, these 2 bosses are horrible. Why'd they stick with them 4 times each?
Yeah.
It's a practical fucking joke.
I think they did this because they're like, oh, the main encounters that you're going to be, like, the main, like, enemy encounters are going to be the hunters, and they're like, kind of random, so it's like, we don't need to put as much attention into the boss fights. I just don't understand why they have to make you do fucking 8 boss fights to get the octoliths. Like, that, it's just so tedious doing that. And, like, the way the game is designed, like I said, they try to do it where, like, you're revisiting other planets and, like, getting items. By the way, the only progression items in the game are the other weapons.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess, but a lot of them, some of them leave a lot to be desired. And I guess, like, maybe we should go through the weapons. Was there anyone that, like, you preferred to use?
Honestly, for the most part, I thought the weapons were fine. I actually, truthfully, I didn't use most of the weapons at all, except for the last one that I got, which was the sniper rifle one. I actually thought that one was pretty fun. Now, it's clunky as shit having how you have to fucking zoom in on it, but that one's actually pretty fun, and they actually use that for decent puzzles other than, this door's blocked, you need orange item. Oh, you got the orange item? Shoot this little bug thing. Yeah. All right, now you're through. The red one actually like fucking try.
It feels like an AI's understanding of Metroid Prime, where they're like, sometimes there are different colored doors and you need a beam to open it, and then they extrapolated to that to being, oh, that's the only progression barrier in the entire game, so here you go. Whereas, like, no, that's not the case. There's other there's, like, height is sometimes an obstacle, or maybe a certain material is blocking an area and you need, like, the power bombs to break through it or whatever, or a different type of missile or whatever, like, or the beams are a little bit more diegetically affecting the world, like, oh, in Prime 2 the light beam can destroy those, like, dark webs, just things like that, or the dark beam can, like, hit the light crystals and, like, turn them black, so then they, like, shift around the geometry of the room, stuff like that. But none of that, like, there's pretty much none of that, like, except for what you're mentioning.
Coming off of Prime 2, where Prime 2, you really, like, you only really had the dark and light beam, and then the super beam, like the fucking Annihilator. But they used those beams to death.
Yeah.
You were using those beams all the time in really cool ways. And then here it's like, oh, you got a sniper rifle now, you got a machine gun, you got cool.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh
like,
yeah, I'll say this, that I did a video on my channel Planet Zebez, which I feel like that, it's kind of a common sentiment that the ammo is a bad thing in Prime 2 and in Hunters and everything. And I kind of made an argument for why it was good in Prime 2 and not good in Hunters. Because, like, Hunters is way more like a normal FPS. But, like, that's the problem, is that the game, it doesn't feel... Guys, I'm begging you, just play Halo. Just play Halo. Just go and play that for like a little bit, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, this is what a shooter should feel like. And like enemies and things like that, way more engaging. I promise you'll have a better time. Whereas like Prime, again, is more about exploration, puzzle solving, reading more stuff, occasional fights with enemies, occasional, like contending with environmental hazards, things like that. The way that the light and dark beam work, and we talked about this in that episode, it's just so much more balanced and more like integrated into the world. It feels so much more like purposeful, and the risk reward factor of having the two battling ammo sources, where like, oh, if you destroy something with a light beam, you get more dark beam ammo and things like that. It leads you to making decisions that aren't just like, all right, well, I'm just sticking to the power beam and doing, whatever, which is like just what I did in Hunters.
Yeah,
no, it's like, no, I don't want to use the shitty, like, the magma hauler or whatever, the thing that like shoots a thing in an arc, like in Friday the 13th on the NES, the rocks go over everything's heads. It's just like, that sucks. These all fucking suck. Like, or they're not like terrible, but it's just, why would I prefer one over the other that isn't just, again, once you get to the like sniper one, it's like, yeah, that just does a shit ton of damage, so I guess I'll just use this one.
That's the only one that actually feels like a meaningful trade-off, that actually is used fun. Because every other one is just, oh, this gun shoots funny. Like, God. And it's like, man, it feels like this game fucks up almost everything aside from the presentation that Metroid was good at. Like, the platforming. Oh my God. Having to double tap the screen to jump every time, like...
Terrible.
I don't know who designed that, but they need a dunce cap.
Yeah.
Like, they are a fucking idiot. Doing any platforming challenge in this game, which there's not many, thank God, but any platforming challenge genuinely feels like I'm a fucking moron. Tapping the fucking thing going, oh, jump, you go. It's fucking, I feel stupid playing this fucking game.
Yeah. My big problem, like I said, it just feels so, like, such a basic understanding that it just feels like so obligatory that they're putting in, like, oh, there's platforming in Metroid Prime, so we gotta do this. Needless to say, like, first-person platforming is a little bit hard to pull off. I think the Prime series actually completely nails it. Like, I think that they have found the perfect structure for that to work. To me, I think the thing that makes it work so well is that subtle down tilt when you jump, so that you can kind of judge where you're going to land, even though you're still facing forward. That makes things way easier to guess.
Yeah.
And, like, when this was 2006, was that like the same year or the year before Mirror's Edge?
So Mirror's Edge was 2000. That was 2008. But
okay, so that was like a couple years afterwards.
Right.
But it's just like very funny to be like, we're still in that era of like, why does first-person platforming fucking suck so bad? And then we get like Mirror's Edge, and it gets way better. Eventually, we get to like Doom, and that has some really great. Like platforming in it, especially like Doom Eternal has like a ton of like mobility and platforming and things like that.
Parts of Doom Eternal are just Super Mario with like the fucking fireballs and everything.
I remember when it came out, like, we joked and with Nikki and everything about how it's like, this is like my favorite 3D platformer, because it's just like, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's like Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, like, first person platformers aren't a very common thing because for the most part everybody fucks it up. Because like you said, Prime knows because it has the tilt somewhat down, so you can see where you're landing. Mirror's Edge doesn't do that. Well, actually, it kind of does, but Mirror's Edge really works because it makes where you're wanting to jump and where to go very obvious with the whole runner vision and stuff like that. So those games really work and stuff. Prime Hunters reminds me of every time you have to do platforming in Halo. And I love Halo. I don't want to fucking jump in Halo. The only time I ever want to jump is whenever I'm trying to fucking rocket jump or avoid a grenade. I'm never trying to do goddamn fucking Koopa stomping on fucking Halo. So why do I want to do it in Hunters, especially with a busted-ass control scheme? I sincerely believe if the game stuck with tank controls and took more from the actual GameCube games, Hunters would actually probably be decent. Of course, they'd still need to fix the bosses and the structure and everything, but...
Yeah, that's the problem, is that it is, like, fundamentally a flawed game. Right. But there's just little things they can do to make it better, because it's in this terrible middle ground where, like, yeah, they cooked way too hard with the touch controls. You know, they wanted to show that off, and they wanted to be, like, a tech demo for that. By the way, it was, I guess it was a tech demo, because they released the demo, but then when the full game came out, nobody gave a shit. You know, it's like...
They released it too late.
Yeah, they released it way too fucking late in the console because, like, by that point, it had already been solidified that stuff. Like, that was the same year that New Super Mario Bros. Came out. So, like, and I know that was one of the reasons I wanted a DS Lite was to play New Super Mario Bros. Because I'm like, oh my god, it's like Mario World, but on the DS, you know, because
it's new old Mario. Holy shit!
Yeah. And that was like when I was getting really into retro stuff. Right before like going onto YouTube and seeing a bunch of like retro reviewers, you know, like from the very early days of YouTube, that if I started saying, I'd get the boomer accusations thrown at me, so I will not. But you know, oh man, goddamn, that's 20 years ago. YouTube has been around for 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
God damn.
And
but
follow my YouTube channel. It's Only Magic YouTube.
Wink, wink.
Yep.
But man, like you said, like we've been saying this entire time, I do think at the core of this game, the actual issue is that it just doesn't understand what made Metroid work so well in 3D, and so like it feels like a bunch of outsiders made this game. You know, I don't know. Like, I feel like Prime Hunters is really weird because with Prime 1 and Prime 2, we can go on about all the little intricacies and stuff like that. Prime Hunters kind of just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Right?
That's how
Where
I feel.
it's like, does this look fun to you? It probably does. It's not. The end. Like.
Yeah. Like, especially like, in a world and storytelling perspective, like talking about all the ways that the lore intersects in like Prime 1 and 2, like all these little things about the way that things are presented to you that give the game so much charm and personality and sauce. It's just like, that's all absent. It's just this like a robotic understanding of what Prime is. And again, like it's from people who are good game designers, but they just fundamentally did not get what made Prime a great. I actually don't know for sure if Kensuke Tanabe was like overseeing this, because I know he's like in charge of Prime at this point with Prime 2, and then onward. And I know that he was the one who pushed for Sylux being like a big factor in
Tanabe was a
Prime
producer.
4. Okay, yeah, because that makes sense, because it's like, I think he was probably, you know, working on Prime 3 at this point, as like simultaneously with these two. And like he's definitely more involved with retro, and I think with Nintendo software technology, they're like I don't know, maybe it was a little bit more hands off on it, and was just like approving certain things and being like, yeah, this looks good, and anything that was like jank or kind of awkward was just thrown up to like, well, it's an acceptable friction based on it being a handheld game. And while I enjoyed it when I was a kid, going back to it, comparing it to Zero Mission, which was the previous handheld game, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why would you ever want to play this over Zero Mission, which is like a nearly perfect, nice little condensed Metroid experience, you know? Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to say.
I really can't think of anything else. Like off the top of my head, just immediate things I can think about. There's a really dumb and lame fucking turret sequence near the end, where like you're just placed on a fucking platform to just. It's fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
The final boss, honestly, is like probably one of the better parts of the game. It's still not great.
It feels like an actual boss fight.
Yeah, it's actually
of like, the other bosses, which are just, again, like first times are fine, but then as soon as you get to more variations of them, it gets really annoying. So, yeah.
Still weird. You need to put in do a fucking cheat code in order to do the final boss. Whatever. Every fucking level after you get the fucking octolith, whatever the fuck they're called,
octolith.
Octolith. Every time you get one, it goes into a fucking stealth destruct sequence, and there was a point where I got 3 fucking hunter fights in a row, and it fucking made me lose, and I almost wanted to goddamn put a hole in the wall with my DS. Like, man, again, the reason why we took so long with this game is because this game is just not fucking good. And it feels bad to say that, but it's fucking true. This game sucks.
Yeah, it's just so disappointing, especially, I don't know. It's like, I guess one thing that we also didn't talk about that you kind of mentioned with your talking about the guide is that despite how linear this game is, it's confusing as fuck to navigate. It's like really hard to navigate for some reason. Like the map is just so unintuitively designed that it's just like, so it just slides off my brain. Because there's too many ways that it's like too open. It doesn't feel like it's naturally leading you through like corridors with like closed off rooms. It's like, oh, did I already go in here? Yeah, I guess I already checked this corner. Did I go through this door? Oh, that just leads to the same area that I just went to. Like, there's a lot of that going on. And there are times where I was just like, I was watching like 2 or 3 episodes of a show in the background would go by the time that I like made it through one part of an area. I'm like, fuck. Like, why am I having so much trouble with this? My spatial awareness is either really bad or it's just like so confusing in this game.
I had the same issue, whereas like the map screen in this game is fucking confusing because the maps are fucking weird in this game, and it removes the hint system from Prime 1 and 2, where if you're fucking around for a while, actually, hey, here's an idea of where to go. They don't have that in Hunters because the levels are so truncated, and basically you're doing a bunch of shit within the same room. So it's just, like you said, this game is confusing. You really do run around in fucking circles all the time.
Yeah. I think genuinely, like, again, I can't speak to the, like, how good the multiplayer is. I do think genuinely this is the worst Metroid game. Like, even Other M, there's some redeeming qualities to it as far as like playing it and like even kind of narratively, as bad as a lot of the story is, like it's at least going for it,
There's at least a story, right? Like I kind of agree. Like a long time ago when I was like 13, I played Other M because I got it for like $5. And I'll say I liked the combat back then. I thought it was fucking weird that you had to use just the Wii remote. You couldn't fucking plug in the damn nunchuck.
That's a big problem with it. Like controls and the repetitiveness of combat, I feel like really bogged that game down.
I only played for like 3 hours, so
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like towards the end, it just kind of gets like, oh my god, I'm so sick of doing this. But otherwise, like I can see people liking that game and being like, yeah, this is like an underrated game. And I can even see people appreciating the story. Even if I don't like the game, it at least like in Prime, again, that's my favorite part of Metroid is the Prime series. So the fact that you have a Prime game and I want to enjoy it so bad, and it does, like, there's so many cool elements to it. It's just so misses the mark. And it's just like such a wet fart of a game that it's just like, it just ends up being like, yeah, this is probably my least favorite Metroid game. I have like no desire to ever replay it after this point, unless they put it on Switch 2 with the like if they do DS NSO at some point, which is possible with this mouse, and Wii as well.
If they fix these fucking controls, I will maybe try it again, and I will gladly play multiplayer. But
that is my like caveat is that they need to fix the fucking controls, and they also need to, for the love of God, map the jump to something else besides tapping the screen twice. You know, so that's yeah.
God. Or God, I think you also jump with the R button, but it's like, oh, what am I Goro? Like, no.
Yeah. It's like what the
fuck?
I'm gonna have to tickle it with my fucking pinky finger. Like, what am I doing here?
God.
Anyway, I guess that's it. I guess that's it. We're done talking about this game. It's a shorter episode, but I feel like if we tried to stretch it to an hour, even it would be like. We'd be just like padding it out. I think we got all of our thoughts out about this game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't like it. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Federation Force.
Boo-boo.
I'm interested to revisit because I never completed that game, so that'll be fun, especially like right before Prime 4 comes out, because it has like some elements of it are going to be a factor in Prime 4 apparently. So we will see. But Isaac, yeah, that was it was fun talking.
Yeah.
Do you want to like plug yourself and tell everybody where they can find you?
You can follow my YouTube and Twitter at Dashpoint Show. I still need to move the Blue Sky, but I haven't fucking done it yet because new thing is very scary for me. But I'm trying to bring back my YouTube channel, so Dashpoint Show, go to Dashpoint, hell yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's me.
You can follow me. I might put these on the Planet Zebes channel because I don't think that I made that by the time that we started doing these Hunters in Prime. But now that we took like a huge break from it and then are coming back with this, I might put the first episode and the second episode onto the Planet Zebes channel, which you're probably already are like, Wyatt, we know you put them on there. But I'm just saying at this point in April 2nd, I haven't done that. So, you know. And I might do it like once a month, maybe. I guess it depends on when we learn that when Prime 4 is coming out. I might like do twice a month or something like that because we got 5 main episodes that we're going to do for Hunters in Prime. You know, we have the Prime 3 episode and then Federation Force still.
Right.
And do you have Federation Force like on your DS or digitally, or can you get it easily?
I can probably I can get it. I can get it.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to hack your 3DS, if anything.
Right now,
I have it digitally from a while back, but yeah.
Right now, my current 3DS is the Mario Maker 2DS that looks like a fucking McDonald's 2DS. Mm-hmm. So I can probably I'll get it. I'll get it.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm
sure it's not super expensive on eBay if you want to get it physically.
If not on eBay, I'll fucking hack it or something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We got time. We got a good game in between though to before we get to that with Prime 3. Which actually, I already have played through because again, but I might replay it just because like when I played through it last, I played through it on hyper mode, which is the hardest difficulty, and let me tell you, there's some good things about it because it's a kind of an easy game, so it makes those easier parts harder. But there's some things that it makes like way too hard. So we'll talk about that in, when we get to that episode. But yeah, follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at WazRanger, WAZP Ranger. It's mostly student consciousness stuff, but I do make cartoon videos on my channel. It's Only Magic. I also make Metroid videos on Planet Zebes. Hopefully you're following that. Check that out. If you want to support me financially, go on over to Patreon. For $3, you get Cartoon Buffoons, which is the podcast with me and our friend Morgan, going through every Cartoon Network show in release order and doing an episode about it. It's a lot of fun. Check that out.
I was on there.
Yeah, you're on there for the Common Chicken episode and the IR.
I am Weasel.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say IR Baboon. I was just thinking of him. But yeah, we'll get you back. I don't know if you have any other show that you want to be on because we're at the time that I'm recording this, we're about to record like next week we're doing My Gym Partner's a Monkey You know, we're doing like Squirrel Boy in that era. I imagine that was like when you were.
That was when I was watching. Yeah.
Yes,
Definitely have to hook me up then.
Because like to me that was like. I was watching, but I was starting to get a little bit too old to be watching.
For
before
context,
then the pendulum. Yeah.
For context, I was born in 2000, so it's
yes,
like, you know, I'm a little baby.
Yeah, 25, a baby of 25 instead of
almost, but yeah.
Yeah, instead of 30 like me, almost. Yeah, but yeah, check that out. It's a good time. Join us for another episode of Hunters in Prime. We talk about the final Metroid Prime game of the original trilogy, Metroid Prime 3: Corruption.
Corruption.
See you there.
Bye bye.